Friends.
Some would go away for summer holidays and not come back.
Parents.
I lost Dad to AIDS and I've lost you to the campaign.
And children.
It was too hard for him, and a child shouldn't have to go through what he went through.
The lives of 3,000 at least claimed by a scandal that this year a judge ruled was largely avoidable. And yet those living with the consequences have had to fight for more than 4 decades for answers and for the compensation that could never match the true cost. Lee was just 2 when he was treated for his haemophilia with blood products carrying HIV. He died of AIDS 8 years later in 1992. His short life marked not just by pain, but stigma and isolation.
He was a cheeky little thing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I mean, towards the end, you wouldn't have known who he was.
And yet his parents, like hundreds of others, have had to wait until today for confirmation of compensation. The new Labour government promising payments will begin by the end of the year.
Do you think that there's been a lack of interest from governments of all parties, and that's why it's taken so long?
Look, I don't think there's any doubt that this scandal spans governments of different stripes over decades. That is, incontrovertibly the case. This has taken far too long.
In the 1970s and 80s, the NHS dealt with a lack of blood domestically by buying it from abroad. US-imported batches had pooled blood from high-risk donors such as prisoners and drug addicts. And yet repeated warnings that these commercial products carried a higher risk of contamination were ignored and downplayed. At least 30,000 were infected with HIV and Hepatitis C. Other countries that had also imported blood products, like France and Japan, paid compensation in the 1990s.
Qu'est-ce que tu penses foncièrement de la justice?
As well as prosecuting politicians and drug companies. But the inquiry in England found institutional defensiveness had stopped authorities here from doing the same.
Just before Margaret Thatcher left office, she was approached with the question of compensation, and she developed the line, or adopted the line, which was everything possible has been done to protect these people. Nothing further could have been done to protect them. Therefore, they're not entitled to an inquiry, they're not entitled to compensation. And then year after year, government after government adopted that line.
In 1983, Suresh Vagala was told during his Freshers' Week at university that he was HIV positive and had 2 months to live. His brother, also haemophiliac, later died of AIDS.
There's been a lot of campaigners that haven't made it this far, and my heart goes out to each one of the families to say that we remember each and every one of you. And with my heart, I say the fight's almost over, and hope that whatever's left and whatever you receive, may you make a future that's brighter than the days that you've had to live.
The government says compensation payments of up to £2.6 million will finally be paid out towards the end of the year, with an additional £15,000 for the pupils of Trelawn's College who were infected during medical trials they and their parents had not consented to.
We find it insulting and I would say disrespectful, but it's more than that, because it's as much shows as much contempt towards the families, the parents of the children that died and their wider families, as it does us.
4 decades they fought, many dying before getting the answers, before getting the compensation finally made theirs.